had it up to here with talking about this, but just briefly, what effect did the Rocky Picture Horror Show, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, have on your career?
Well, it did actually. It probably stopped me having a film career for a while. Because I think that when it sort of worked, it worked so strongly that it left it an image that was hard for producers to see through. It's had another effect in that it's practically a pension for me, which is a very nice effect. But it also, I mean, without it, really, I wouldn't have made sort of an impact on America. So it's been wonderful, really.
You feel it's been inhibiting because producers...
Well, it was inhibiting as far as films were concerned, I think. I never had any trouble doing anything else. I mean, and the constant question is, you know, have you been typecast? And it's usually when you're sitting there, you know, I mean, I was doing Amadeus and sitting in a 17th century frock coat in a Broadway theatre with a lady from the New York Times, and she said, has Rocky Horror Show typecast you? And I said, will you look at what I'm wearing? What does it look like? I'm playing an 18th century genius. I don't think I could be further away. So I think it's sort of, because it had such a strong visual image, people assumed that it would. But in fact it hasn't.
But you mean you're not...
But it's always it's a constant contrast anyway.
You mean you're not like the character in that film? Have you ever seen it in one of these midnight shows?
Yes, I have. I was thrown out in New York when it first started happening. I went to see it, and the manageress threw me out because I didn't look like the character on the screen. Because I'd got in by, you know, saying I was only there for 2 days, and somebody said you've got to go and see it. So I went, and the only way I could get in was by saying, you know, I'm in it. And the manager actually didn't believe me. He said, "Well, your hair is not black." I said, "Well, no, it was dyed." He said, "Oh, well, can you smile for me?" So and about 15 minutes in, she took me out. Said, "You know, you're an imposter. You have to leave. You're causing a riot." So I showed her my passport, and she sort of melted like the Wicked Witch from the West. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. It's sort of not the film anymore. It's a kind of event. It's a sort of mad rite of passage, as far as I can see.
It's an awfully good film.
Yes, it is a good film, isn't it? It died a death when it first came out.
Yeah. I wonder why. It's a very big...
Well, I think, you know, that I saw the first screening at 20th Century Fox, and the silence was, you could cut through it. There's a very long pause, and then whoever had been assigned to say that it was wonderful said, "Gee, that was great. What a wonderful picture." I didn't really know what to do with it, or what on earth it was. So it was left to actually a man in the marketing division called Tim Deegan, who actually saw not only that it was a good film, that there really was a market for it, and really invented the midnight circuit. Yo, Tim. Well, it's very bright, actually. I mean, he did invent a whole way of going to the cinema.
The film is full of sexual energy, I noticed too. I think it works on that level.
Yes, there's quite a bit of that.
Every Saturday night, in front of that theater out here, there's long lines every single night, and it seems like it's never going to end. And I assume that you have a piece of it, is that right?
Well, I have, I think, a sort of toenail of it. I have a kind of pairing.
What are you going to do next, do you know?
Well, I've just made a record, and that's out this week. So I'm doing a certain amount of grinning, you know, for that. Hello, that's fine, anyway. And I'm going to the continent and do some television there for it, because they sort of buy records in the continent. Mostly, see, while I was doing the play Amadeus, I was doing the record during the afternoon. So I was doing sort of 2 till 6 on the record, and then doing the play at night. And then I had about a week when the record finished, and I started on the film. So it's been a kind of, I think, 11 months of 12-hour days, really. So basically what I'm going to do is go back to London, stare at the river, and allow myself to drift into a kind of coma, I think. Because after a while, if you put out too much, you've got to put something in. So I'm going to sit in England, I think, and look around and not really do anything.
What's the name of the record?
Simplicity.
For now.
Yeah.
What label?
It's on A&M Records.
Anything?
Well, actually, we don't quite have a reader to everything about Rocky Horror.
Roll 84, sound 6.
And this is Rocky.
We filmed the Rocky Horror Picture Show in 1974. And we did Amadeus. I'll tell it again. We started Amadeus in, I suppose, the fall of last year, 1980. And did about 5 weeks in Washington, polishing it up, and then it opened just after Christmas in New York in 1980.
When you go back to London, it's still running there, might you take over the Mozart part on the stage in London?
I don't think so, no. I think, once you've done something, you've done something. I don't see myself doing it again.
Which is, of these four things, which was the most difficult, the most strenuous? Rocky, Annie, making an album, or Amadeus?
Well, the most strenuous was Annie, certainly. I mean, it's sort of count the bruises time. I'm still hobbling from jumping over a chain-link fence. I did much more sort of physical work on this picture than I've ever done before, which was great. Jumping through windows and climbing up bridges and just hoofing. I'm in better shape than I've ever been, I think, thanks to Joe Layton.
Let me ask you one more question, because we're also been asked to do something, a piece for college campuses now, which has become a recognizable film and stage star. Does it make it easier to meet girls?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.